Today, April 25th, marks a day on our calendar of commemoration that resonates with all Australians. It is a day where our differences are passed aside so that we can commemorate the acts of a few, those people who have put their personal aspirations aside to ensure that we, today, have freedom. We reflect on these men and women from our own space. No cenotaph, no memorial, no graveyard, not even the Gallipoli Peninsula. We reflect in our own space at a time when our lives have been interrupted by the inconvenience of COVID-19. We must realise that even the right to this inconvenience is due to the sacrifice of others. We complain that we are in lockdown, unable to see family and friends. But we have Zoom, House Party, and numerous other apps that afford us the ability to connect with our families, even if this is via technology and not the face-to-face we would prefer. If we need to see someone, we still can. We just have to get creative about the way we do it. Today, I think instead of families during World War I and World War II, where communication was only by pen and paper and at the mercy of a postal system. Each letter received a sacred memory, not thrown on the kitchen bench with the rest of the day's mail as we would today, but instead cupped into the hands of mothers, fathers, wives, siblings, as if it were the most sacred of offerings, then kept securely until the only piece of their loved one until the next time the postmaster arrived. Families waited anxiously for letters from their loved ones, praying that a letter arrived before an official came, cap in hand, to inform them of their loved one's passing. Think of those months spent on boats, surrounded by strangers, the only people standing between themselves and death, or the days turning into weeks as soldiers sat in wet trenches awaiting commands, movement from the enemy, or, better yet, a visit from a post officer, in spaces that dwindle in comparison to the homes that we are now locked in, complete with kitchen, bathroom, warmth, and a firm bed. We hear people talk of cabin fever, and my mind is taken back to the soldiers of the Vietnam War, those sent into enemy tunnels, no way to see what is coming up ahead or what is now behind, in spaces that today our bodies would barely fit. The constant threat of the enemy or the torturous traps they left behind playing on repeat in the soldiers' minds. No technology to numb their thoughts or Medilink conferences to discuss their feelings. So today we commemorate the fallen and pay tribute to the thousands of Australian men and women who have served our country during times of conflict, crisis and unrest, and give thanks to them that many of us have never been involved in any kind of war. We must remember that it is through the sacrifice of others that this is so. As we pay tribute, it is not to glorify war or to praise victors, but to instead reflect upon their selfless sacrifice. The first ANZAC Day marked the anniversary of a poorly planned and misguided landing of Australian troops in Gallipoli, a time and situation where their deeds and sacrifice demonstrated that Australia, although only a newly established country, was truly a nation. Over the years, this day has grown to mean so much more. Scores upon scores of men and women have since served our country and shown the same spirit that was displayed at Gallipoli. They have come forward without question, accepted honourably, and discharged fully their responsibilities. We think at this time of World War I, World War II, Korea, Malaya, Borneo, Vietnam, Cambodia, Somalia, Rwanda, the Persian Gulf, Kosovo, East Timor, Iraq, and Afghanistan, as well as the many other peacekeeping and peacemaking operations throughout the world. Current events demand that we be prepared for the worst, but that we hope and strive through diplomacy and open dialogue for the best. We think of every man, woman and child who, in those crucial years, died so that the lights of freedom and humanity might continue to shine. We must nurture too the obligation of showing gratitude for the peace we enjoy and the responsibility of ensuring the freedom and liberty that so costly won is not lost by our own indifference. So let us mourn with pride, but let us remember with equal pride those who died, served and still live.
I crouched in a shallow trench on that hell of exposed beaches, steeply rising foothills bare of cover, a landscape pockmarked with the war's inevitable litter, piles of stores, equipment, ammunition, and the weird contortions of death sculptured in Australian flesh. I saw the going down of the sun on that first ANZAC day, the chaotic maelstrom of Australia's blooding. I fought in the frozen mud of the Somme, in a blazing destroyer exploding on the North Sea. I fought on the perimeter at Tobruk, crashed in the flaming wreckage of a fighter in New Guinea, lived with the damned in the place cursed with the name Changi. I was your mate, the kid across the street, the med student at graduation, the mechanic in the corner garage, the baker who brought you bread, the gardener who cut your lawn, the clerk who sent your phone bill. I was an army private, a naval commander, an Air Force bombardier. No man knows me. No name marks my tomb, for I am every Australian serviceman. I am the unknown soldier. I died for a cause I held just in the service of my land, that you and yours may say in freedom, I am proud to be an Australian.
It was on this immortal day when the young men of Australia, by their deeds and sacrifice, demonstrated to the world at Gallipoli that Australia was truly a nation. The sons and daughters of the ANZACS came forward without question, accepted gladly, and discharged fully their responsibilities during World War II, Korea, Malaya, Borneo, Vietnam, Somalia, Rwanda, Timor, Iraq, Afghanistan, and other conflicts, and many humanitarian deployments as well. On this day we remember the sacrifice of such men for an ideal, for a way of life. Let us take strength in the knowledge and hope that our sons and daughters will never forget the example set by their forefathers. In our everyday life, let us endeavour to carry on those traditions established in past wars and conflicts at such a tragic cost. We think of every man, woman and child who, in those crucial years, died so that the lights of freedom and humanity might continue to shine. We nurture too the obligation of showing gratitude for the peace we enjoy and the responsibility of ensuring that the freedom and liberty so costly won is not lost by our own indifference. So let us mourn with pride, but let us also remember with equal pride those who served and still live. See that ye hold fast the heritage we leave you, yea, and teach your children that never in the coming centuries may their hearts fail or their hands grow weak.
We thank you, O Heavenly Father, for the efforts being made by the nations of the world in seeking peace and happier relations with one another. We praise you for the spirit in men and women which made them scorn the way of safety and venture all for the common cause of freedom and right. For all great and noble acts, known and unknown, which we believe by the mercy of God will bring about the final conquests of the forces of evil, which threaten the peace and security of the world. Amen.
A unique story in Australian war history has been investigated in a book called The Silent Soldiers of Navarre, Messages from Beneath the Somme. Within the recently rediscovered walls, in hidden chambers in the north of France, is an incredible secret of the Battle of the Somme in World War I. The signatures and graffiti of French, English and Australian soldiers tell a story of lives long lost, now found. One of those signatures was of Private Thomas Joseph Lynch, who along with two of his brothers, Trooper William John Lynch and Private Robert James Lynch were fortunate enough to return home to their family at Dunbull in Victoria. The three brothers were of 10 children to Michael and Helena Lynch. Private Thomas Joseph Lynch is my great-grandfather. May he rest in peace.
Today, we do not celebrate. We do not celebrate war, nor victory. We do not celebrate lives lost. Today, we commemorate. We commemorate the hundreds of thousands of men and women from across the globe that have lost their lives in war. We commemorate each and every life lost. In the words of Commander Ataturk, those heroes that shed their blood and lost their lives. You are now living in the soil of a friendly country, therefore rest in peace. There is no difference between the Johnnies and the Mehmets to us, where they lie side by side here in this country of ours. You, the mothers, who sent their sons from faraway countries, wipe away your tears. Your sons are now lying in our bosom, and are in peace. After having lost their lives on this land, they have become our sons as well, lest we forget. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
With their hair a little whiter, their step not quite so sure, still they march on proudly as they did the year before. Theirs were the hands that saved us, their courage showed the way, their lives they laid down for us, that we may live today. From Gallipoli's rugged hillsides to the sands of Alamein, on rolling seas and in the skies, those memories will remain. Of airmen and the sailors, of Lone Pine and Suvla Bay, the boys of the Dardanelles are remembered on this day. They fought their way through jungles, their blood-soaked desert sands. They still remember comrades who rest in foreign lands. They remember the siege of Old Tobruk, the mud of the Kokoda Trail, some paying the supreme sacrifice with courage that did not fail. To the icy land of Korea, the steamy jungles of Vietnam, and the heroic Battle of Kapyong, and the epic victory at Long Tan. Fathers, sons and brothers, together they fought and died, that we may live in peace together, while at home their mothers cried. When that final bugle calls them to cross that great divide, those comrades will be waiting when they reach the other side.
In Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely singing fly, scarce heard amid the guns below. We are the dead, short days ago, we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we throw, the torch be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep, though poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Almighty God, watch over all those serving in the armed forces and those who still suffer disability through sickness or injury suffered at war. Strengthen and encourage those who have been saddened by the loss of loved ones, especially a child deprived of a father's care and protection. Grant that the same courage and resolution, the same comradeship and service known in the last great struggle in which this country was involved, may now be offered in the greater task of making true and lasting peace. Amen.